My name is Marcia Wilson. I'm a painter, and here's a story of a canvas I found at the art school. It was a donation to be used for whatever, so I took it. I'd never had such a big canvas before, 60 inches long, wow, by I think 46 inches tall. So I pick it up and I start to scribble on it first with charcoal and then the dirty turpentine and then some dark red. I'm just adding different colors, and it looks like a tree is evolving here. So I keep going, and the left side is something else is coming. It looks like maybe another tree. Yeah, I got two trees going here. This is May the 7th, 2011, and I'm painting at Vytlacil, which is part of the Art Students League in Sparkhill, New York. I'm renting studio time from them in a very nice studio, which is kind of like a barn structure. Uh-oh, I've turned the painting upside down because it bores me the way it was before, and I'm starting to do a figure here. Oh, the reason why is now it's a week later. We're at the 14th of May, and I'm making dancing figures because that's what I feel like doing. I'm not really thinking. I'm just working with paint. And I've got the music playing, but you can't hear it because these are still photographs. But later on you'll hear. Here I'm working on more than one painting at a time. I took a picture of the studio. I'm the only one working there, which is very fortunate. So here's my painting, and now I've discovered the self-timer on my camera. I'm using it for the first time, and I'm not sure if I can get myself in the picture, but I can. So here I'm still working on the painting. I'm adding pink now, and it's May the 14th, so I've been working on this canvas for a 2-week period, but actually I only work on Saturdays. Here I've sort of started again. You may notice it's the dancing figure is turned into a person sitting down. That's because I'm imagining hanging this painting in my house, and I don't feel like looking at somebody dancing. I want to look at my grandmother sitting in the garden. My grandmother will end up turning out to be a younger person, possibly myself, who knows. But anyway, it turns out to be a seated woman, looks like she's got a dog in her lap, and the dancing children are all that remain from the previous version. They seem to be 2 dancing children, but now there's a third one evolving next to the seated woman. I paused to take another photograph of myself with 3 paintings going on at once, and as you can see, I'm smiling because I really like to paint, and I'm having a good time all by myself. Although I must say, seeing a photograph of myself reminds me that I really eat a little too much. I should go on a diet and exercise. Oh well, maybe next time. So that jar in the front is my dirty turpentine, and I'm using all kinds of things. I'm using oil paints, and I'm also using paint sticks, which help save my canvas from getting muddy. So the yellow and the red, there are paint sticks. My favorite brand is R&F, but I also use other brands. And working on this painting, I'm having fun with it. Here's the live recording. See, I'm listening to opera. I've just discovered that I can make a movie with the self-timer. So you can see that I don't work that quickly. I'm kind of a slow-moving old elephant of a woman, I'm afraid. But I'm wearing rubber gloves because other people seem to do that. I guess it helps keep the toxic paint from my skin. And I'm probably thinking of my favorite painter, who is BONNARD. He had wonderful effects of light in his paintings. I'm trying to do subjects that I want to look at, because at this stage of my life, I'm 74, I'm not thinking about whether things will sell. I'm thinking about paintings I would like to live with, paintings I'd like to look at in my own house. I had a fantasy that my house got swept clean, that my children took everything away, and I had the exciting opportunity to decorate the house with things that I'd like to look at, with my own work. So that's when I got the idea of painting canvases filled with light and air, and subjects, as I said, that would comfort me in my old age. So I'm hoping to make this one a comforting kind of canvas that I'd like to look at. I have one of my own canvases over my bed now, and it gives me a great deal of pleasure to look at. It's a canvas of my grandmother holding a dog on her lap, kind of like this figure, and me as a child looking on. I'm going over these shapes again and again, because that's what painting is like. I don't know, I just keep working. It's not really an intellectual exercise for me so much as maybe a tactile one. I don't know, it's like a doodle the way I work. I don't think, I just work. I just keep working and hope it'll turn out. I'm amazed at the size of my rear end. Now I understand why I have to buy the largest underpants they sell at Walmart. And now I understand why people looked so horrified when I got on the airplane to fly to Hawaii and had to sit down next to them. The color drained from their faces as I asked to pass between them to get to the window seat. Oh well, at least I made it. Now I'm back to still photographs. I like the painting. It's coming along pretty well. It's still far from finished, but when you like what you're doing, it doesn't matter if it takes a long time. It's becoming a picture I'd like to look at. I'm using a paint stick now. It's not a brush, you see. I've got the rubber gloves on and I'm using a paint stick that's probably pink or yellow or white or off-white. And I have a little energy, which is nice. Being 74 years old, I don't move as quickly as I did when I was younger and thinner. I now weigh 262 pounds, which is a lot more than I weighed when I was in my 20s and 30s. I was 30 years old 33 when I first became an artist. In 1970. I always wanted to be an artist, but it wasn't until I saw the Greenwich Village Art Show that I said to myself, gee, I could do this. My friend B.B. Dreyer exhibited in the art show, and I was very competitive, so I thought, if I can beat B.B. in Scrabble, maybe I can be just as good as she is in the Village Art Show. So I signed up for a spot. In 1970, you could do that. It cost $15 back then for 3 weekends and the middle of the week also. And then I bought a set of oil paints And that didn't work out, so I bought a set of acrylics and prepared to make paintings to fill my little booth, which back then was just a few racks. Here we are at the still photos again, and I've scribbled a little blue on the figures to the right. It's interesting that the dog seems to be a dachshund. Well, my daughter raises dachshunds, and my son has 2 of them. My daughter has 3 of them. So they're very sweet little dogs, even though my dogs are bigger. My dogs are the size of the dog in the left-hand painting over there. This video was taken in June 2011, so more than a month has passed since I started this video. Where was I? I was telling you about my decision to start being an artist in 1970. Yeah, I bought myself a box of paints, and I bought one of Bibi's paintings, which was a flower painting, and I propped up her painting and my blank canvas and started to copy it. Well, every time Bibi came to my house to play Scrabble, she'd laugh at my attempts, and rightfully so. I was a little clumsy, but it was very freeing for me to not think about whether I was a good artist or whether I was a talented artist. All I had to think of is, would I be able to display it in the village art show and not make a fool of myself? And I also said, would it sell? I found that a liberating thought, which is odd because now that I'm 74, I no longer care whether things sell or not. I just want to make something I like. So it's nice to come to the end of my life and sort of be back where I wanted to be before I started the art shows. I look forward to my Saturdays at vytlacil painting in the studio. It's wonderful to have a day of painting to relax and listen to opera, the Saturday afternoon opera on WQXR. I never used to listen to opera when I was young. That's another acquired taste. I don't have a musical ear. I don't really know what I'm listening to, but I like it. I guess the important thing in life is really enjoying yourself, isn't it? Isn't it odd that I paint that one grandmother, my maternal grandmother? When I was younger, she was not my favorite grandmother, but now I think of her with great love. She was a temperamental woman. She didn't do so much for me as my other grandmother did. But one summer, around 1948, I went to their house in Clark Summit, Pennsylvania, and it was a very peaceful summer. I spent about 2 weeks with my grandparents, Harry Hubler and his wife, Vina Gibson, and I just loved the relaxed pace of their home, their garden, the lack of pressure. So I paint to get that feeling back, the feeling of their garden, their fish pond, their vegetables. My grandmother had a Cocker Spaniel, but here she's holding a dachshund. That's fine. When this painting's finished, it would be nice to hang it in one of my bedrooms. Don't you think so? I wonder when it will be finished. Probably a few more sessions. I'd say maybe it's half finished now, but you never know. It looks a lot different from the way it started out as that abstract canvas that somebody had never, that somebody had donated to the school. I appreciate it. I've never painted with such a big canvas before. I like painting over old canvases. I like the old colors shining through. Sometime around now, I begin to think the colors in this canvas are a little too blah. I want them to have more variety. I want them to go from black to white, more contrast. So I'm going to start to paint a dark brown on the dog and the woman's hair, maybe a little in the foreground. You'll see it'll come up towards the end, and then I like to scratch through it. That's one of the things I like to do. I don't know why. But here I'm still... I like these paint sticks because you can sort of draw with them as well as paint. It looks like I have two paint sticks in my left hand, a yellow and a white maybe, and a pink paint stick in my right hand, which I'm using. I'm trying to make the background kind of luminescent and white and bright, and the foreground kind of dark and shadowy. But here I'm scratching. I'm using a knife to scratch, a utility knife. I must say I do enjoy scratching. It gets all the bumps out, and it reveals color underneath. It's just fun to do. Now I'm going to shut off the camera and take a few still shots of the painting. See here, I've added this dark brown. I don't have the camera going. And now I've scratched through it. See the little scratchy marks? Now the camera's on video again. I'm using the wrong end of the brush here to scratch through the brown for the hair. Isn't that funny that I put paint on and take it off, put it on and take it off? And after this, I'll put some red on the dog and on the hair because I guess the brown looks too... So I don't even know why, but I wanted to put red in there, so... You'll see eventually I add red. I'm touching up the face. My grandmother had white hair. This woman has brown hair. My grandmother had a Cocker Spaniel, and this is a Dachshund. Go figure. Somebody said everything in a painting is the artist himself or herself, so... Maybe this is the way I imagine myself, or the way I would have wanted my mother to be. It certainly is fun to get lost in my own world while painting. I just love it. It'll take a long time to finish this, though. But if I could have one hero to think of while I'm painting, it would probably be Bonnard, even though he painted very differently from me. Bonnard did sketches from life, and used those sketches to guide him, whereas I'm making things up out of my head, I guess like Chagall. Dare I compare myself to those greats? Not really. Bye-bye.